ask Ontario's doctors what to expect in pandemic year 3, because we are quickly approaching year 3 and the Omicron variant is positioning itself to be the fastest spreading version of COVID-19 the world has ever seen.
So what's ahead and how can we protect ourselves and our families? Let's ask Ontario's doctors. Joining us live tonight with more on this is the president of the Ontario Medical Association, Dr. Adam Kassam, infectious diseases specialist and senior clinician scientist at the Leuenfeld Tannenbaum Research Institute, Dr. Alison McGeer, and Frigon Blau, chair in family medicine research at Women's College Hospital, Dr. O'Neill Bhattacharya. Thanks to all of you for being here. Dr. Kassam, I'll start with you. I mean, it's kind of crazy and a bit painful to say that we're going into year 3 of this pandemic now, really just weeks away from 2022. What is year 3, wave 5 of the COVID-19 pandemic going to look like?
So no question, it's a bit of tough news. And how I would sort of frame this for your audience would be to first to say that there is some concerning news, concerns about Omicron, concerns about transmissibility, uncertainty about severity. But here's the good news. We have vaccine supply. We know that 3 doses are better than 2. We know that the vaccines seem to be still effective in preventing severe disease. We have antivirals and therapeutics. We know more about the disease now than we did about a year ago. We have the use of other mitigation measures like distancing, masking, reducing congregate exposure. We've done it before, and we'll do it again if we have to, and we're going to get through this. We are fundamentally in a different place than we were a year ago, and I'm still confident about our future.
Dr. McGeer, I heard you characterize this as in the short term, it's a setback. In the long term, it's a bump in the road. This short term, though, it feels like March 2020 all over again, right? How do we ride this out?
Yeah, you know, it's clearly from a virologic and a disease point of view, it's much better than March 2020. But we've just all been dealing with this for so long that I think it's really hard to face even the bump that's coming. But, you know, it will be okay. And I think if we look a little bit further beyond it, there's no doubt that 2022 is going to be better than 2021. So it really is a question, I think, of steeling ourselves to try to be with public health and the restrictions, to try to get our contacts down for a period of time, to make sure that we've got our 3rd dose and that we're encouraging everybody to get out and get their 3rd dose so that we're better protected. And we will ride through this. But, you know, you'd almost think the virus knew what it was doing. It picked such a bad time to give us this trouble.
Dr. Bhattacharya, we're expecting to hear from provincial officials tomorrow, and likely that announcement will include something about boosters being more broadly available for people. Will booster shots or 3rd vaccine doses be enough, or do you think we'll still need to include some new measures and other restrictions?
Look, I think it's a whole package. You know, as Dr. McGeer said, we've been through this multiple times, and when you think about it, I think when vaccines came in, we thought this will be the solution. And in the long term, maybe it will be, but I think in the short term, it's going to be a range of public health measures plus the boosters. Countries that, you know, like in the UK, that have been pushing the booster now are introducing public health measures because it wasn't sufficient. You know, one of the ways I think about it, I know we've been at this for 2 years, but actually we're getting good at it. We know what the steps are, and there's a series of steps in better control, and we know what they are. So in some ways, you could say we're burnt out, we can't do this anymore, or we could say we're good at it because we've done it 4 times, and this 5th time we can do it well.
Oh man, I've pulled my socks up too many times, Doctor. Dr. Kassam, how would you describe the mental health of our healthcare workers, though? Just imagining a wave 5, talking about year 3.
So there's no question that the pandemic has taken its toll, not only on healthcare workers, but the people of Ontario more broadly. And so when we think about a 5th wave and we think about Omicron, of course, this is going to require a steely-eyed approach to the future and making sure that, as my colleagues have described, making sure that we're focused on 3rd doses, making sure that we're getting our kids vaccinated, making sure that we are focused perhaps even more broadly and globally on this concept of global vaccine equity. And so I think we have a lot of work to do, but I think that, as Dr. Bhattacharya was saying, we've learned a lot. Let's implement what we've learned, and let's focus on the task at hand.
Dr. McGeer, you know, we're just under 10 days, I think, until Christmas Eve at this point. So people who may be eligible to get their boosters, that booster might not be effective quite before Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, fully effective anyways. So what kind of guidance are you offering people at this point about how we should be celebrating the holidays?
So I think what each of us needs to do as an individual is think about what's essential, what's really important to us for the holidays, and not give that up. But remember that what we need to do as a group is reduce our contacts. We'll get some help with public health recommendations for that, with things we can and cannot do. But it's also up to each of us to be thinking about, what can I give up? So yes, the kids want to see their grandparents. We're going to do that. But maybe we can make the family party a little bit smaller, or maybe I can pass up going to a work party where there's going to be a lot of people, or going out to a movie or concert that I was thinking of. So if each one of us does our bit with reducing our contacts where we can, I think we can get through this without doing a huge amount of damage to the Christmas season. It won't be ideal. It won't be exactly what we want to do, but I think we can preserve much of the holiday season while remembering that we're just keeping gatherings as small as possible and really focusing on doing the important things in our lives.
Yeah, you mentioned that people have options, right? Movie theaters are open, concert venues are open, people can go to a sports game as well at this point. And now you're suggesting that maybe people should rethink attending things like that if they want to spend time with their families over the holidays. Do you think this is something the province is going to just scrap altogether?
I think we'll have to wait and see what the province does. In some ways, it's maybe easier for us to do it ourselves than for the province to do it when they're worried about ruining our holidays. It's one thing if I'm my own agent of change and I make my own decision about what I need to do, I may be a little unhappier if the province is telling me what to do. So I think the provincial public health people are walking a very fine line between, what needs to be put into place, but also wanting to support us and get us through the holiday season in one piece. So yes, I'm sure that more measures are coming. We don't know at the moment exactly how they'll be, and I think public health is going to try really hard to target them to get the important things, but the smallest number of things they think will help control this.
So as every individual does their part, I wonder about that broader humanity message that Dr. Kassam was talking about, vaccine equity, right? Dr. Bhattacharya, do you have those conversations, or are you asked about vaccine inequities, and if there was a global vaccination effort, we would be in a better position?
Absolutely. We're not good. Like, where are the new variants coming from? They're coming from countries with high prevalence of COVID, with low vaccination rates. And until we eliminate those pockets, we may get new variants in the future. And so really the push should be, we've got ourselves, we're going to get booster doses in Canadians, and now the work is to get the whole world vaccinated. That's the way we end this pandemic. And I think global health was always something seen as like, it's a nice thing to do, it's a good thing to do, but now it's actually the right thing to do, even for our own self-interest.
And Dr. Kassam, the OMA also studying the impact of the pandemic on children. Obviously, this has been so disruptive. Now, there are some concerns and some worries that schools could be impacted once again in the new year. What are you hearing about this?
Well, we know that our kids have had a significant toll placed upon them, whether it's because of remote learning or not being able to interact and develop alongside their peers in classrooms over the course of the pandemic. And so what we need to focus on is preserving their mental health, their developmental health, their physical and mental well-being. This means that we need to double down our efforts on ensuring that they're vaccinated, as well as making sure that we can, at a certain point, ensure that they can continue to go to the classroom as safely as possible, but of course making sure that we're also paying attention to what is happening with the variant, with case numbers rising, and ultimately preserving the public health of all of us.
Doctors, I can feel my anxiety levels rising, as I'm sure our viewers can as well in this moment, but good to get your insight and your perspective on this. Thanks so much for your time.